must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. This is the editor's memo, and on the panel this morning we have Douglas Kirimi, Chevan Karanja, Daniel Besonga, Professor Jared Onyari, and Musa Abdi Haji from Isiolo County. And as usual, Dr. David Matanga shall lead us through this show. Doctor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam. Thank you very much from the Political Command Center in London. Thank you very much. This is Punchline Africa television, the only television on the continent of Africa that talks about Africa, that talks about what ails Africa, what kills Africa. Why are we a black continent? Are we still black? Are we dark continent? Why were we created different? Every time a crisis depends on the continent of Africa, we ask, why are we like this? What is it that we have done wrong that we need to be put and eaten like a sandwich? Some of us who have done courses, there are some courses called sandwich course. I don't know whether a professor knows. Course ya sandwich course. Yes, katikati ya ile kubwa na hii una sandwich katikati. Why is Africa being sandwiched? What is the problem? My editor's memo this morning looks at why us? Why is the world cruel to us? Why? Miriam, why is the world cruel to us? What have we done wrong? We did not invent this disease. We did not manufacture this disease. We don't have a factory where it escaped. We don't have people and the manpower and the money to invest in this venture. What happened? Why us? That's my question this morning. I'm not going to labor on Kenya anymore. Jesus said, and the Bible says, when you preach and the people don't listen, take ye the dust. The wretched earth, and go home. Africa, what is the problem? Why us? Kwa nini sisi? Every Kenyan, every Ugandan, every Zimbabwean, every Maputian, Mozambican, Tanzanian speaks of why me? Why us? We didn't manufacture this disease, Jamen. Because some of the people think that they can reduce me because I'm talking about a thief in Kenya. A thief called Dr. William Ruto, who has stolen everything and disorganized his friend's legacy. They think Matanga does not teach, but that they think Matanga has no material. That they think that in London, I again clean toilets or carry old people's homes. No, no, no. My speeches in London, in some universities, cost £8,500 per 2 hours. And I want to challenge any of you to come. If any of you has got a membership of Chatham House, those who challenge me, speak to me. Challenge me. Why Africa? So I've diverted. Today I've come to my real world, Professor. You will have to bear with me, and I leave you your faith. Because you are thief. You are thief. When we talk about your thief, you attack me as a hippo, as a fat man, refugee. Now I've left your thief for you to handle. We like our thieves. We like our thieves with the helicopter coming with red and a yellow coat, black and blue, yellow, purple. I've never seen a human being wearing a red trouser. In African culture, when you start wearing red trousers, some men might not allow you in their functions. And that is for the truth. So I've come to my subject. Why Africa? Why are we, why is the world cruel on us? COVID-19 did not start in Mount Abed, in Abadea's County Club, or Mount Kenya in Nanyuki Club. COVID-19 started in Wuhan, the capital city of 80 million, not actually 80 million people. How many countries that you match up 80 to make one? Remember, China has a population of 1.2 billion people, or 1.8, whatever Wesonga can look for me. Medium, out of the 80 million people who won, the aircrafts, the planes, the airport of Wuhan can transmit enough germs to kill at least 40 million. Am I wrong? It did not kill 40 million. The disease sprang from there. The disease did not spring in Harare. The disease did not spring in Kenya. Neither did it spring in Uganda. Neither did it spring in Central African Republic. Neither did it spring in Morocco, in Kigali, Rwanda, in Rwanda, Angola, in Maputo, Mozambique. It did not spring in Cape Town. It passed by Cape Town. And it passed by Cairo, via Suez Canal. The first country, by panel Professor Onyani, Miriam, and the 5 panelists. The first country on African continent to bring us this disease was Lesotho. Yes.
Lesotho was the last one to...
Sorry, it was not Lesotho, it was Egypt.
Egypt, yes. Lesotho.
It passed through the Suez Canal and passed through the Cape of Good Hope. You can give them why. You can read the logistics. Why it passed there. All ships anchoring to go to Mexico, to Brazil, to America, from the far east, from the northeast to the northwest, to the north, they anchor through the Cape of Good Hope. Therefore, South Africa became number 2. But South Africa and Egypt have not had the equal measure of contamination. South Africa has had the worst contamination. Egypt, people still fly to see Pharaoh, who died 200 million years ago. There is no contamination. South Africa has been brought to the knees with every emerging disease arriving from Cape Town or Johannesburg. There's South African flu, South African jab, South African jaw, South African knee, South African toe, South African call it head, South African ear, South African eye. We are soon going to have South African heart. Karanja, as you live in the abyss of imperialism, is that correct English? The abyss of imperialism, you learn quite a lot. What wrong have we done? Why us? Why be cruel to men who only became recipients of the disease they never manufactured? The politicization of this drug diplomacy is the point I'm driving home. Where are we getting it wrong? Or where do we get it wrong? As Africans, where are we getting it wrong? Yesterday, I saw the PS of Foreign Affairs, and I believe Professor Nyali must have gone to the toilet 20 times and washed his face to come back to say, what do we have here? I don't know how you behave. Professor, you as in school, how did you behave yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Any of you who saw the PS of Foreign Affairs yesterday? How did you behave, Mr. Douglas? You felt like going to hide.
I wasn't happy by his responses and
okay. You have answered. What about Douglas? Sean Wesonga?
It was below par, Dr. Matsanga. That is what I could say.
You have answered. Germany Karanja?
Yesterday I didn't watch JKL.
Musa, a man who has studied international relations. What is your comment? I want to hear you before I proceed.
It is good that I don't listen to that guy because he has got no reality about Kenya.
Welcome, Olusisana Smith, Mr. Tawish Smith Olusisana. I will nickname you Mr. Smith because you have been consistent in the smithing things. What's your comment about the PS performance?
In short, it was below par.
Medium, you usually not comment, but I think you saw this time. You can either say it was upgrading or downgrading, or you abstain. Madam.
Well, I'll just, perhaps what I saw Kenyans talk about, they were not quite, they didn't have a lot of confidence in what he was saying. What I saw from social media, how Kenyans were reacting to that interview.
Exactly. Thank you. You are closer to me, to my heart. We are reacting. We are fighting an enemy. You can't come and tell us how Somalia is doing what it is doing. The foreign policy must be combative. Medium, combative foreign policy. Combative. You can have difficulties, but you can't be a diplomat when your country is under siege. You can't be a diplomat when you did not correct, you did not manufacture the disease. Did you manufacture the disease? Did you manufacture the disease? Did you manufacture the disease? Did Kenya manufacture this disease? Did Uganda manufacture this disease? Any of the African countries which took part in the manufacture of the disease, put up your hand, watch this show. Tell me where we went wrong. Being recipients of this stupid blood fucking disease, where did we go wrong? We did not manufacture the disease. Why have we been tormented? We did not manufacture it. Why haven't we looked at the person who brought this disease? Why haven't the international multinationals engaged the person where the disease came from? Why are we being the people being used as a football, being used as, I don't want to say a bad word, because Miriam is on the panel. But all of you men know what I was going to say. Why? What did we do wrong? Onyari, what did we go do? Do we have the money to manufacture anything? Did we manufacture anything? Why should Africa? I have come back to my subject. Many of you were thinking that I was talking about a thief called Ruto. I no longer want to. In fact, what is it? He will never be equal to me. My age is 65, his age is 52. He wears Turkish shirts, I wear Marks and Spencer. Look, I have 80 children. The firstborn is 41, the lastborn is 22. He has toddlers and still producing more quietly. So, let me come to my subject, which earns me a living when I go to London School of Economics. Yes. And I invite Ruto to come and teach about botany and the plants in London School of Economics and see how many students will follow him, whether he will stand in the questions. I'll teach my subject that I studied. I'll not pretend to be a plant grower when I cannot manufacture one seed which can grow more seeds in the Rift Valley. I'm hard this morning, and tonight at 7 p.m. or Susanna, don't go anywhere. There is some revelation I'm tabling. If it doesn't happen this time, I will tear all my papers and give them to you. What have we done wrong? China brought a disease. America knows China brought the disease. China itself knows the disease came from Wuhan. But the world has turned on balkanizing, carnivorizing Africa. African countries are being cannibalized by Western Hemisphere hegemony and restrictions. Yet we are following the World Health Organization. The disease did not come from us. Why hasn't Britain gone to China as another superpower, a member of the United Nations Security Council, to ask the people in United Nations, China, what did you do? And how did you save your people who are not dying like Americans and the British and the Britons are dying? Why hasn't America asked China what happened at Wuhan? Who are the people bought the factory that created us the disease? Why us? Why is Kenya being blacklisted, red listed? Why? Why is America putting the fourth level of adversary note to a country that became a recipient of their body air? We became a recipient of their fat. They have been fatting on the planes and they brought it to us. Tundio tuzungumizane kwa kweli Karanja kutoka Nyanyuki.
Kweli usemwe.
Have you seen any black man farting in any plane? Don't you go to the toilet to fart? You start farting in the streets of Nairobi, people will think you are a very bad man. But it is very good for a white man to fart all the way from Jomo Kenyatta Airport up to the Hilton Hotel, and he enters while farting. I've come back to my subject. I have come back. Because you thought Matsanga is not an orator. Wait and watch. I speak until the audience comes back to ask for more. The Africa we want is not the Africa to be condemned. We want the Africa to be given respect. We have done nothing wrong in this COVID-19. I will speak whether here, whether in Kenya, whether in Britain now. I will speak. I'm speaking from Britain. What have we done wrong? What has Kenya done wrong? What has Kenya done wrong? At least Britain had medical preparation. It has NHS. Kenya was struggling to make an NHS, universal health care, to work. What have we done wrong given the circumstances of a disease that sprang in Wuhan? At this hour, do we need condemnation? Do we need condemnation? Does Africa need condemnation at this hour? Does Guinea-Bissau need condemnation? Does Egypt need condemnation? Does Harare, Zimbabwe need condemnation? Does Kenya need condemnation? What have we done wrong? The disease found us in our homes. The disease found us on our mountains. The disease found us in our Marals Reserve Park. The disease found us on our rivers. The disease found us on Lake Victoria. The disease found us on River Zambia. The disease found us on River Congo. The disease found us everywhere in Africa. The disease found us on Sahara Desert. We did not look for it. What did we do wrong? Where have we gone wrong to be condemned, to be restricted not to travel, to be restricted not to visit? What have we carried which they didn't carry? Why can't we face China? Why can't America and Britain and France and Russia sit down on the United Nations Security Council table of the permanent five, excluding the shoe toddlers, the shoe polishers? You know, we call them in diplomacy shoe polishers. The shoe polishers of UN Security Council, including Kenya. Yeah, I'm sorry, President Kenyatta doesn't polish shoes. In fact, in Africa, he's well respected. But because he's on the Security Council diplomatically, quietly, in the toilets of New York, we call them shoe polisher is coming. Because their voice does not pay. The voice of the non-membership can be swayed, can be vetoed. Veto it. Can be vetoed. I don't know what Kenyans saw. Is it veto? Veto it. You can veto. The permanent five can veto what Kenya proposes. And it will not pass. So why, Miriam? Why? I want your panel this morning to answer me quietly. Why? What have we done wrong here? Onyari, you are a professor, champion of life. Did we go and injure people somewhere? Are we cursed? Did we become witches that we sent the disease, then it came back to follow us? Why hasn't USA, a superpower in the world, first China, called China on the table, had peace talks on how China got its medicine to save its millions and millions of human beings, while Kenya, Uganda, Somalia, Djibouti, and other countries are struggling to save their own people. We have not even saved a quarter of our people. Kenya has not even vaccinated, has not even tested a quarter of the people. Not even a quarter. I think a quarter is even too much. A population of 45 million people. I don't think Kenya has vaccinated even 1 million people. Not vaccinated, tested to find how the extent of the imported disease, how it arrived on the continent of Africa. Through planes, through the people who went to open it up. In Wuhan, why haven't we been told? For example, let me ask a question as a layman, that we have several birds in Africa. Karanja has several birds in the caves in Nanyuki. I think you have seen them. Are those birds very harmful to you? Have they killed you at all somewhere? Have those birds woken up and come to kill you or bite you? Or when you approach the cave, the birds also disappear to go somewhere else. But they have stayed with you. Have they infested the animals that they touch? So why have we been penalized when a bat or bats were eaten in a market in Wuhan? The man who ate is still alive, and we people who did not eat are still being told you will die on your continent. Don't come to us. Musa, Aliona asked a question. What is the ratings that you give the PS of Foreign Affairs answering people who have restricted us from going to where we did not create a problem, but the problem arrived from on all of them with us. The problem came from China, landed in Italy, transmitted on the European continent, via Italy, Rome, France picked it, Britain picked it. Now, why don't these countries ask China, what happened to you? You brought us the disease. I therefore submit that why Africa? The debate is huge. The debate continues. It will continue. Miriam, you can discuss the Kenyan issues. But why is everything coming? Why IMF is coming today? Why are Kenyans complaining? If we had no COVID, Kenyans would say, yes, we are used to corruption, but let's go and sell our Eurobond and come and do something. They are used to it. Ugandans would say the same. But because there is something that is strange that we are not addressing, but we continue to be the people to suffer even more. I want you to look at this topic from that point of view, microscopic point of view, that why us? When we were not aware, why us? And not them who created it. If America woke up and said, Mr. China, we need to go in Geneva for talks. Tell us the medicine. How did you save your people? If you look at the timetable of World Health Organization, Miriam, the number of people who have died in China, where the disease came from, compared to the number of people who have died in the United States, is a distance between Mars and the Earth. Am I wrong? So why should America come to put Kenya on a fourth level, a fourth tier of not moving there? What are the implications? What is the meaning? Where is the friendship? Where has the friendship gone? When you see this, which I told you this long time ago. Miriam, we're here. We talked this. We talked about this. We talked about state capture. Now, isn't the program working now? Tawish. Isn't it the beginning of all battles? First, isolate the enemy, target the disease, the cell. Have you known, how the cell, how the body works? If they want to demonize you, they first ring a lot of corruption scandals, demonize you, call you names, say that man, that Uru is bad. While they are calling you names, you are defending yourself. They send the disease. Which of the cells that brings disease? Wesonga and someone who studied, is it white or, yeah, the white ones? Which one fights the disease?
White.
The red?
White blood cells.
White blood cells fight the disease. The red ones manufacture the disease. So they send you all names. They've said Uru is corrupt. Kenya is corrupt. Kenya is a state of anarchy. Kenya is this. Kenya is through NGOs. And later on, they come in themselves. Have you seen how they came this week? Britain said, any British national going to Africa anyhow, you will be fined £5,000 cash. Or if you fail, your property will be auctioned. Or if you completely have no property and you work as a homeless, the next thing is to eat some food in Belmarsh. Belmarsh is one of the best prisons, like a committee, where Taylor, for Musa's to know, the Musa had likes those things. Taylor is detained in Belmarsh. So, Miriam, I submit that why Africa? Why have we gone to this level? Why have we been injured? Why have we been frustrated? Why have we been targeted? Yet we did not manufacture this disease. And do we have enough capability, enough PR people, enough manpower to answer back? Looking at Kenya, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the PS Foreign Affairs yesterday was engaging the world. Any diplomat, any person in American State Department watching that type of speech, or in 10 Downing Street, or Commonwealth, or Paris, LCA, Paris, will not say, Vedi, Vicky, Vedi, Vidi, Vicky. Will not say, I came, I saw, I conquered. I submit my case to the panel. I leave it open for you. And I advise you to read the book, The Wretched of Earth. You have a copy there, sir. Can you show them the copy? Thank you. The wretched of the earth. Mr. Ruto is creating you the wretched of the earth. I spoke, 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 I spoke. People did not listen. Now we have reached a point where the master stroke of imperialism arrives. The regime in Washington is not a friend of Onyari, is not a friend of Tawish, Douglas, Javan, Musa, Sean, and Miriam, and David. It is not. They are the master stroke, the master stroke. They are bringing in the master stroke, finding Kenya with pants in. Did you read something in your newspapers that Joe Biden is revising the trade pact? Have you? Did you hear properly, Miriam? Did you see something like that on the panel? Did you talk about it? Joe Biden is revising the trade pact between Kenya and United States that was signed by President Trump. If you are waiting for any good news coming from there, then go and grow more pumpkins and eat a bit. Because those are the, do you know, Onyari, what is the last thing to eat in your village? Isn't it pumpkins? They are the most available vegetables. Pumpkins work both ways. They work as food. A pumpkin produces very nice food, and a pumpkin produces very nice gravy. When you get it, put it, and put sodium ash, and then put granny nuts in the leaves of the pumpkin fruit. The pumpkin leaves, karanja, you leave it, the face, like now, the way the face is smiling, it will bubble more, bubbly. So I invite you to start eating African food in preparation of this, the type of administration for the next 4 years that you will have from United States of America. I submit.
Thank you so much, Doc, for that. And I think this is a conversation we had started on, and I think it's Professor who had already commented on it, and we will continue with it. On page 9 of the Standard newspaper, the United States yesterday issued a travel advisory against Kenya over the surge in COVID-19 cases. This comes less than a week after the United Kingdom slapped Kenya with a similar ban, eliciting a diplomatic row between the two nations. Now, the U.S. now joins the list of countries that have placed Kenya in their travel red list as a result of the surge in the number of COVID-19 cases. The increase in the cases and fatalities have seen President Uhuru Kenyatta impose a lockdown in one zone to Nairobi, Kiambu, Kajiado, Nakuru, Machakos counties. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued the Level 4 travel health notice for Kenya due to COVID-19 cases, whose cumulative positive cases have hit 141,365 cases since the first detection in the country in March 2020. Levels on the travel advisory scale range from 1 to 4. Level 1 calls for exercising of normal precaution, while Level 2 calls for increased caution. Level 3, citizens are asked to reconsider travel, while at Level 4, they are advised not to travel, and we have been given at that Level 4. I will start with you, Douglas Kirimi.
Thank you, Miriam. For us as a people and also as a country, we need to also differentiate between enmity and love. For our love of these other countries, the developed world, we have suffered in numerous consequences of the same. the many bombs that we experience, the very many aggressions that we experience from even terrorists, come as a result of our association with the British people and also the American people. When these people wake up and also decide to slap our countries with the travel advisories, we would ask ourselves, to what extent would these people go to make sure that the people of Africa continue suffering, especially the people of Kenya? To what extent do these people want us to continue suffering for what we did not be able to manufacture or even bring to this world? Like Dr. Masanga said, this is something that came. It's an health emergency. It has come from China and other countries, but we did not bring it to the world. Why are they looking down upon the people of Kenya? And for our friendship with the people of America, Britain, and all these countries, it is based on mutual benefit. It is not for nothing that we are friends with them. It is not for nothing that we continue offering them a hand of friendship. For British people, we even train the army training in our country. They continue benefiting based on the many settler farms that continue exercising their rights to hold land in our country. Well, many people in our country continue being squatters. When the people of America are fighting their own enemies, we side with them, and as a result, we continue suffering. But when this corona thing comes, they don't want to be able to be lenient to our country. They want to continue blocking our people from traveling, advising tourists from coming to our country, and also stifling our own economy. These are people that want to make our country suffer economically and even socially. People of Kenya are being isolated for nothing, Miriam. At the end of the day, when you look at what they are doing to us as a country and as a people, it is uncalled for. It is something that I don't think they should be able to do to the people of Kenya and especially to the people of Africa. And like I've said, they are not doing us any favor. They are not doing us any favor. We are paying for the friendship that we are having with these countries. We are paying positively and negatively. Miriam, for this country to be where it is today, even security-wise, we have paid heavy prices to be friends with these Western countries. These our Western allies should not be able to look down upon us. They should be able to engage us to a partner level and not to keep issuing travel advisories. And even if it is not coronavirus, when terrorists strike our country, they will issue travel advisories. When you dig deep into that, it is not terrorists who are bombing us because we have done anything to the terrorists. We have become friends with the people that they continue fighting and also continue destroying their property and life. And as a result, we continue suffering as a country. Miriam, we continue suffering in the hands of these people, the imperialists, the people, the Western countries continue issuing travel advisories to our economy and our country. And whereas we did not bring these problems to ourselves, whether it is a problem of terrorism, whether it is a problem of corona pandemic, we are suffering because we are friends with them. It is the high time they treat the people of Kenya with dignity. It is the high time they treat us with the respect that we deserve as a nation and as a continent. I submit, Miriam, and I also agree with what Dr. David Matsanga said, that we did not bring coronavirus to the world. So whatever treatment that we are being treated, it is ill-timed and uncalled for, and I do not agree with what they are doing to the people of Kenya, because it is also stifling their business. It is stifling their standing in the Committee of Nations, Media. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Chairman Karanja.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for the discussion that we are having. And I entirely agree with the sentiments made by Dr. David Masanga and Douglas Kiremi, to the extent that the virus that we are fighting today didn't originate in African countries, but it originated in the Middle East country, in China, Asia. And you see, when you look at this issue, Miriam, you'll see clearly that some of these exclusion measures are being taken in Africa countries have not been issued to these countries where this disease have hit them hard. Therefore, this shows that these people are in one way or the other excluding Africans to some extent, like we are not doing the right thing. But when you look statistically, and numbers don't lie, if there are people who have been highly infected by this COVID-19, as the United States of America, as Britain, Italy, France, and India. But when you come to Africa, we are trying to do our best to ensure that we curb the spread of COVID-19. I will isolate the case of Kenya. The government of the day has done a very significant role, and it was gaining praises from all over the continent and from from WHO because of how the government of Kenya managed and contained the spread of this disease. Therefore, it is hypocritical to see these countries, which records the highest number, trying to give us these travel bans, trying to issue us with these kind of ultimatums when we are doing well. Miriam, they need to advise us, they need to encourage us, to give us morale to do better. But what they're doing is like they're curtailing our wings. They're flipping our wings so that we cannot do as expected, Miriam. I also saw we don't have our own vaccine. Therefore, we rely on the vaccines that we are getting from this nation. If they start issuing this kind of travel bans, if they start issuing us with this kind of giving us this kind of setbacks, Miriam, where will we get our vaccines in future? Miriam, we have seen a very good cooperation in terms of trade with the United States. But Miriam, if the information that we have will materialize, that the government want to revise the trade pact that we have with between the two countries, Miriam, it is our economy, it is our people in Africa who will suffer, because we depend on these external markets to export our goods and to import some of goods that we don't have in the country. Therefore, we depend on others in a kind of a symbiosis relationship where we benefit mutually from the kind of engagements that we have. If they do that, Miriam, it's us who will suffer. And this calls upon the Africans leaders. It is high time that Africans leaders united for a common cause, because they have been excluded. They should use these challenges, they should use these setbacks as an opportunity for African continents, to African country, to come and join forces to curb the spread of this COVID-19 and to emerge victorious and to portray to the world that we Africans, we can do better and much better without your input, without your much input that to some extent is over exaggerated. Therefore, it's high time that Africans figures out ways on how they will curb the spread and adhere to WHO protocols without really being swayed back by these travel bans and so on. But Miriam, when you look at critically, you see that these people are not determined to see Africa prosper. Maybe in one, we have quite well, we have managed the disease better than what they have done. Because, Miriam, when you look at China and USA, if the United States of America took seriously the precautions in the first stage of this disease, they could not be where they are today. Therefore, to them also, they did their mistakes. And we didn't ban travels from our African continents going to the United States. Therefore, everybody makes a mistake, and they should not judge Africans, Africa countries, and Kenya at large because of the few mistakes that we have done in curbing the spread of the disease. But they should come in solidarity to ensure that we curb this disease, because it's an international, it's a world disaster. It should not be segregated to African nations only. We should combat our forces jointly to curb the spread of this disease and to ensure that we come out of the wound successfully as the globe at large. Therefore, it's high time that we also Africans, we come with our remedies and we join hands. We have the resources, we have the AU, we can have the money and other resources, and we curb the spread. We also have the resources and the capability to succeed. Thank you.
Very well, Stephen Karanja. Now, the U.S. Embassy, Nairobi spokesperson Heather Nauert, acknowledged that Kenya and its citizens had taken many strides to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. We are monitoring conditions closely and will adjust our travel advice for Kenya when the situation on the ground changes. Our travel advice must take into account changing COVID-19 conditions, said Mr. Nauert. The official said Kenya has recently seen a steep increase in COVID-19 cases, and the President of Kenya announced additional restrictions on March 26, 2021. This change in our travel advice reflects this development. So they're saying, don't blame us. We're just working on what the President of Kenya is doing here. So it has to reflect also on how we advise our citizens when they come to Kenya. Daniel Osonga.
Yes, thank you, Miriam. And I'll go straight to the point. Last year, in the month of May, Dr. Matsanga just said on this platform, jokingly, that by come maybe in a year or two, you will find that these people who are the manufacturers of this disease will impose sanctions and travel bans on Africa based on the disease. They will not allow you people to travel to their countries. And that is coming to happen, Miriam, at this juncture in time. And more so with the US, a country which has recorded highest number of COVID cases in terms of positive, those who are positive, and even the number of deaths, Miriam. And this disease was not manufactured in Africa, and we were not the cause of this disease. So it's very quite unfair. And today, Miriam, I happened to read this book, which Dr. Matsanga has always recommended, The Wretched of the Earth. And when you read what Fanon said in his quest to enhance Africanism and to be able to elevate the people of Africa, he says that the colonized, the underdeveloped man, I'm just reading, is a political creature in the most global of the term. And he went ahead to give an explanation of his egocentricity. And he said a member of a colonized people must be constantly aware of his position, his image is being threatened from all sides. Impossible to forget for an instant need to keep one's defenses. And that is what we've been doing as a country. You saw the other day when the UK tried to bluff with us and to impose a travel ban on us. We came out guns blazing and we told the UK that we are equal partners and we need to negotiate on these terms. And therefore, you saw what happened the other day. The UK said that it's going to form a joint committee together with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kenya to be able to come to solve this kind of stalemate. So that is the same approach that we should approach this ban from the US. Because Miriam, when you look at the history of America, I remember the other day going through a book which documents the life of Malcolm X, The Dead Are Rising. And it was clearly documented that the African immigrants who came to the US from Africa were more treated fairly than the indigenous blacks who were the former slaves in the US. And the reason was because these former slaves had low self-esteem. They did not perceive Africa as a continent they would be proud of. They could not see it as their motherland, whereas these other immigrants saw it as their motherland, a land of opportunity. These other former slaves saw Africa as a dark continent, a picture which was painted to them by their former colonial masters. And therefore, with this low self-esteem, the whites were able to oppress them, to disenfranchise them, and treat them unfairly. But when they realized that these immigrant Africans were so proud of Africa, and they knew what Africa held in terms of resources, in terms of opportunities, in terms of climate, the white people treated them with regard. And therefore, it is upon us as a country to also tell the US that it is not doing us any charity by doing business with us. We do have bilateral relations, and both countries benefit from one another, and therefore they should be very considerate when taking some of these steps towards our travel into and out of America. So, Miriam, what my submission is that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should go hard on the US. We should remind them that they have a lot of companies. Also remind them that the U.S. Army has been also sharing intelligence in terms of counterterrorism with the Kenyan government, and therefore, they are, in as much as we are dependent on them, they are also dependent on us, and they do not have to treat us like we are their subjects. I submit, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. We've not seen how the government of Kenya has officially responded to this. Of course, we saw how the government responded to that travel advisory that UK gave a couple of days ago. Musa Abdi, the travel advisory, is it necessary?
Thank you, Miriam. And I've seen the conversation really heading in a better way, Miriam. I would like to quote and read from the book by Professor Makumi Mwagiru.
You all carried
who was
books
once
today.
the director.
Oh, that is good.
The director of the Institute of Diplomacy and International Studies at University of Nairobi. And he said, the issue of African continent, Miriam, is that Africans, we've been thinking international security and issues of foreign policy as
the only thing to do with the military factor. And there goes another scholar by the name Barry Buzan. I remember him saying that security is environmental, is social, is political, is economic, and is dynamic. Miriam, in this perspective, African perspective and how African states have been perceiving foreign policy, have been perceiving, Miriam, on how they can interact with the Western countries and global north and hegemonies, Miriam, has been put in question. And I quote what he said. Africa's absence from international security can also be explained by the fact that most states in the continent still lack a clear strategic foreign policy they can and have pursued. He said there are exceptions to this. Only Kenya, Tanzania, and South Africa have a clear drafted foreign policy. Other countries, Miriam, they don't have this foreign policy. So the way we've been engaging with the United States of America, the way we've been engaging with the United Kingdom, the way we've been engaging with European Union is more of a beggar to the master, Miriam, rather than a sovereign country with a clearly drafted foreign policy on knowing what they want to do. Miriam, he goes on and says, in discourse on international security and Africa's role in it, Africa seems to have become more comfortable with doing what it is told to do by others. And unfortunately, what Africa is told to do by others reflects not Africa's own interest, but the interest of those others. At best, Africa is left concerned with what are the best meta-theories about international relations and security. In pursuing these, it loses the picture of the whole and continues to struggle without being led by the Africans themselves. Miriam, African continent, we have been so comfortable. Kenya, we've been so comfortable waiting for what others can say before deciding on what Africa can decide in itself, Miriam. We are so comfortable with sustainable development goals being fronted by United States of America. We are so comfortable with AGOA development goals being fronted by United Kingdom, European Union, Miriam. We are so comfortable with IMF conditionalities. But the question Professor Mwagiru has been asking us in this book, are we comfortable? Are these whites and the Western countries comfortable, Miriam, when we are going to ask them about this question? And this agenda make me miss as Robert Mugabe, Miriam.
Okay.
Robert Mugabe could stand in the group of nations, in the United Nations General Assembly, Miriam, and ask and critique America and tell them, we are not gays, we are not lesbians. Africa is not United States of America. Africa has a culture, Africa has a society, Africa has traditions. So you can't impose on us what we don't like. No. Do we have those kind of leaders, Miriam? And I finish. Professor Mwagiru said, Africa's problem, or part of it, in the constant context of rethinking international security, is that it has over time allowed itself to believe that the West sets all the rules about international security and foreign policy. So we are seated here, Miriam, waiting for the Western countries. The epistemology for understanding this can be discerned. Those pursuing contemporary debates about international security, at least in the West, through and through, have always been deciding, Miriam, for us. We see anything we take, even look at our constitution. Our experts are so proud saying that it is the model of the United States of America, the devolution. Can we have something unique decided by us, made by us, and fronted by us, Miriam?
All right.
So submitting all this context, Miriam, and when I saw yesterday the CS for Foreign Affairs speaking about now United Kingdom threatening Kenya about this COVID-19, United States of America rethinking. Ironically, Miriam, they never rethinked when we were fighting the war for them in Somalia. They never rethinked, Miriam, when they came to colonize us in the name of United Kingdom. But now, unfortunately, they are now rethinking on trade deals and what they can do with us, Miriam. Mm-hmm. And that is the reason why the other day I said, let us take the closure of Kakuma and Dadaab refugee camp, not as a humanitarian issue, Let us take them as an international security agenda. When Kenya will move forward, not being discerned and not being, taken as puppet by being given billions of dollars to keep the camps open. When we shall close those two camps, Miriam, our message to the Western world shall be very clear and very bold in that Kenya is ready to defend and stand by its foreign policy, which was published in the year 2014, Miriam.
All right.
To make my final submission, I will not blame the United Kingdom. I will not blame United States of America. I blame the way African continent and how our leaders have been setting the security agenda, Miriam. The other day, instead of discussing things for our own, Somalia decided to take the issue to the ICJ. What does that show? That we tend to glorify and we tend to take nearly as perfectionists these Western and hegemonic and bipolar states, Miriam, rather than dealing with sub-regional issues by taking the case to African Court of Justice. Until we rethink, Miriam, the way these whites are rethinking when it comes to our issues. Miriam, they never rethinked when Ebola was killing Liberia and Sierra Leone. And now they are rethinking when COVID-19 is ravaging and killing the Africans, Miriam. So my submission is, least we should be reminded that African states should be natural. We should not only be comfortable waiting for us to be given the rules, but we should set the rules, Miriam, in international security agenda and foreign policy respectively, Miriam. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As you were speaking there, Musa, I was just thinking of the recent spat the government had with USAID when the government of Kenya, refused, for the ARVs to come into the country without paying tax because the US wanted to import through their own company, and the government of Kenya was saying, if you want us to exempt these ARVs, then they have to be imported through KEMSA. So could this be a retaliation following that conflict of importation of ARVs just the other day, Professor, or am I just thinking too much? Professor? Okay, I'll go to Samuel Tavish.
I'm here, Miriam.
Okay, go ahead. Did you hear my question?
Yes, I heard your question very well, Miriam.
Go ahead.
I have followed these discussions, Miriam, very well, very keenly, and with my other presentation, and what Dr. Masanga and other panelists have said, Miriam. And to have the debate very parent, Miriam, and this is what I have to say. And I want to give comparative analysis of 4 countries who are friendly to US, and then I say Kenya. US, they have added to 1 million cases, 572,000 million deaths. Those who have recovered, 24 million. UK, 4.3 million cases, 126,927 deaths, 3.9 million have recovered. Canada, 1.03 million cases, 23,173 deaths. Those who have recovered, 943,000 million. Kenya cases, we are at 141. We have had 2,276 deaths. We have got recoveries of 97,194 million. Miriam, if you were to give advisory, which countries, Miriam, have you to give? It has not happened. But as I said before, Americans have got every right, Miriam, to advise their citizens. And that's what you do. We saw them giving travel advisory to China, Italy, and South Korea. They have done it, Miriam, so that they protect their people, Miriam. Miriam, let me ask yourself, how do you close 5 counties? Miriam, do you know some Kenyans cannot be freely move in Kenya? Then you accept the Americans to allow their people to come to Nairobi? And the way, Miriam, this wave, this third wave, Miriam, we panicked. I'm telling you the truth, we panicked. And even the president, you know, when he said now, even he did not give people the opportunity, Miriam, to travel. They have to revise and said, oh, we have given you up to Monday so that you travel, Miriam. So from where I sit, as much as Miriam, you want to blame that mongoose which eats the chicken. You must ask yourself, where was the chicken when it was being eaten by the mongoose? Was it in the house or it went to the forest? So Miriam, the way we do things, Miriam, sometimes we turn around. I totally agree with Dr. Masanga. We are victims, Miriam. But the way we also do things is also very serious, Miriam. Another point, Miriam, which I want also to agree with Dr. Masanga is this. And to connect to your question, Miriam. Have you seen that the Americans and the UK, what are you seeing the connection? Is this by coincidence?
Sputnik V.
Even South Africa, the numbers are higher, Miriam. They are higher, Miriam. Have they even advised their people not to travel to Tanzania? So, Miriam, you have to understand the geopolitics, Miriam. I talked about the strategic position about Kenya, Miriam. And Miriam, let me tell you, this is the kind of war, of Cold War. I said at that point in the morning, and this thing to do with corruption in this country, Miriam, this was seen from Russia. This was making us getting the kind of travel advisories, Miriam. It has got nothing to do with the numbers. And remember, Miriam, George Soros, Bill Gates. What did they talk about the continent of Africa? Dead bodies who will be littered all over. Have you ever seen it? So, Miriam, this is something which has been crafted. People have sat down, Miriam, and have come to it. And that's why I agree with Dr. Masanga. How I look forward the day Miriam will have the rights of the late Robert Mugabe Bob. He could stand in the United Nations and tell them off. Africa, we have got priorities of the things to do. So, Miriam, from where I sit, this is only commercial interest. And what they want to do, Miriam, they want to twist. And that's why when Britain realized, they put a committee, Miriam, a task force, Miriam, to look into this issue. Miriam, this is how civil human beings, civil nations do things, Miriam. We are victims. You heard me just say, Miriam, on how we have suffered under terrorism, Miriam. So America on this, Miriam, as much as they have got a right to advise their citizens, Miriam, what to do, they must also know their consequences. America is not Uganda. America is not Rwanda. America is not another country, Miriam. What they say, Miriam, and I've said is a bigger brother. Other countries in the world, Miriam, will stop coming from Kenya. Simply because America has given them advisories, Miriam. We are in the middle of a pandemic. This is the war, Miriam. We have to fight, all of us. We cannot leave it to any one person, Miriam. That's from where I sit. It is commercial interest, Miriam. They have to twist us, Miriam, that if this vaccine, it has to come to America. But, Miriam, we say this, if protocol will be followed, we can procure the vaccine later from China, India, Russia, if protocol and World Health Organization has given a green pill. Because we cannot, Miriam, look here. We have only 1.25 million jobs which have come, Miriam. And we have given them the front runners, and as by now, Miriam, they have almost 400.
According to the Ministry of Health, just like
they are almost getting exhausted, Miriam. We also want to be vaccinated, Miriam. So we are not going to wait that we are going to procure it from the West. We can procure from anywhere and everywhere in the world if it is safe and it has been declared safe. So America, UK, please treat us as human beings. We are not lesser human beings. And Miriam, let me tell you in terms of COVID, all the protocols, Kenya, we have done extremely very well.
Very well, Professor. Thank you so much. Now, the spokesperson said of the U.S. Embassy in Kenya that the Department of State had no higher priority than the safety and security of the U.S. citizens abroad. To that end, our travel advice must be fact-based, accurate, and transparent. And I'm just wondering, out of all this conversation we've been having, of course, the US now joining the UK, and we know how those two countries feel about Russia and the presence of Sputnik V vaccine in this country. So we really cannot shy away, from thinking that perhaps this has to do with that. But are we seeing now what is at play, an economic diplomacy driven by foreign policy here? Samuel Tawish? He's not there.
Okay, thank you so much, Miriam. Thank you for the conversation we've been having in this program, and thank you more so to the panelists who spoke before me. I was listening keenly to almost every other panelist, and more so the recent one, Professor Jared Donyari, has made very pertinent points over there. Miriam, what I want to register is that the move by UK to issue travel advisory against Kenya was made in bad faith. It was sheer prejudice, just like my other panelists have said it. What will be the rationale of, for example, issuing travel advisory against Kenya and not, for instance, Tanzania? And we all know what is, for example, happening in Tanzania. They have done literally nothing, if I should put it that way, ever since the outbreak of this disease. They have not followed any guidance or any protocols issued either by the World Health Organization or CDC in Africa, or any kind of organization in as far as trying to fight this pandemic is concerned. Why have they not issued travel advisory, for example, against South Africa? And we understand even at the moment that South Africa numbers actually higher than even Kenya for that matter. And I think Professor Nyari has did put it in the right perspective, that it could be the geopolitics, the position that Kenya is in, and maybe these Western power countries are looking onto Kenya as one of the emerging powerhouse in this region, and there's any attempt to try and coerce, any attempt to try and subdue, any attempt to try and make Kenya actually to continue looking up to them as big brother. And I think that is what we are suffering from at the moment. Because again, when you look into everything that has happened ever since the outbreak of this pandemic from March last year, it didn't originate from Kenya, like my other panelists have said. The numbers, the skyrocketing numbers have not been witnessed hugely in Kenya or even in Africa. But when you look into the directives and the travel advisories that the Western power countries are giving out, they're actually geared towards actually, negating the efforts that African countries are putting in place. You remember even the first case here in Africa was reported in Egypt. I remember somewhere in April last year. And even by that time, some countries, including, for example, Lesotho, had to even give lockdowns even before first case was reported. Kenya and the rest of the African countries, for example, in this continent today, actually following all these protocols that have been laid down, including social distancing. They have even closed churches. Some of the people are not, the schools have not been open in some countries. Some of the borders in the African continent, you cannot even easily cross to Uganda, for example, today, all in an attempt to try and see how we can fight this pandemic. So it beats logic that the UK and other Western power countries can come out and try to negate all these initiatives, try to negate all these efforts that African countries are trying to put in place to try and fight this pandemic. So I believe it is something that it is done not in good faith. It's something that seeks to actually dampen our spirit and our effort to fight this pandemic. But I think we need to go to the drawing board and ask ourselves, what is it that we should do then as a continent? Because again, the over-reliance on this continent, or the over-reliance of African countries on UK or Western power countries is what has brought us this far, if I should say. Because again, these people feel like we cannot do anything by our own. We have to rely on them on everything, even including the question of, for example, getting these vaccines. Professor Nyari has put it right in the right perspective by saying, if there's any reason for us to go for this vaccine, say, for example, in Russia, or say in China, or any other country, or in any other continent, as long as it has been ratified and given a clean bill of health by the relevant organs in the world, then so be it. Because my thinking here is, maybe United Kingdom wants to push Kenya and to push African countries to follow a certain directive, without which then we may not be guaranteed to get the kind of support maybe we need from them, not only to fight COVID-19, but also generally in terms of economic and by the bilateral kind of pacts that we have between African countries and the United Kingdom and those developed countries. But again, I remember one of the panelists here saying the relationship that Africa has or individual countries has with the United Kingdom and other Western power countries is not parasitic for that matter. It is more of symbiotic. There's how they benefit from African countries, and there's equally a way we benefit from them. So it is not like they are the ones who are doing us a favor. So we need to come out and speak, but again, to go back to the drawing board and think, what is it we can do? Is it about the kind of leadership we are having? Because again, Miriam, today, if I come to your house and you want me to remove my shoes once I step on your door, because maybe you feel I'm carrying along some mud with me or in my shoes, you want me to remove my shoes at the door. But now when you come to my house, I allow you to just get in with your shoes without wiping or even without actually looking onto your shoes or the mud you're coming along with. So I think that is the problem we are having. These people are looking at us like, how comes we are allowing them to come to our country without any restrictions? We are not that stricter. But if you are to go to these Western power countries, they're giving us a lot of conditions. Some of them are unattainable. For example, today, if an American even came here today, you don't be surprised even in this panel. There will be more possibility that Miriam will give that person an opportunity to speak more than Professor Nyari or Tawish for that matter, because I'm of black skin and that one is a white man. So I think it is time we need to begin appreciating our own effort, to appreciate our own resolve, to appreciate our own ability to pursue an agenda that which we think is good for our own people without necessarily relying on the Western power countries, I submit, Miriam.
Mm-hmm. And that was just an example Tawish was using. I would not do that. Doctor, end it for us.
Certainly, it was indeed an example. It was indeed an example.
I'm Kenyan first. I'm